All right, today we are going to be talking about lesson 1-3, which is weekly time cards. Notice that I've started out with this same page that I did yesterday in both lessons. This page is my running equation sheet for my Chapter 1 test in financial literacy. I have got a few things to add to today's list, so let's go ahead and copy these down. Total hours equals the sum of daily hours. Make a little side note here, elapsed time. To find elapsed time, we would take our time out minus the time in. Another note, remember, there are 60 minutes in an hour. We also want to make note, we will round elapsed time to the nearest quarter hour. Now notice how this says round elapsed time. We're going to dive in and get started on example number 1. You should have received a sheet that looks similar to this. Now, I'm going to get out another piece of paper because I might want to do some side work as I'm going through these problems, and I don't want this page to get all messy. Okay? So, it says, Gail is required to keep a weekly time card. Based on the time card in figure 1-1, what is the number of her A, daily hours worked on September 18th, and B, the total hours for the week? Now, we forgot to talk about it. What is a weekly time card? Has any of you ever seen a time card? Well, a time card keeps daily record of the time you report to work and the time that you depart. So it's like when you clock in and out every day, okay? Now, we have to pay attention because it does some of these days for me. I don't have to do them all. Like, for instance, it says that on Monday, she clocked in at 8:15. She clocked out at 12:15. How many hours would that have been? You're right, 4. We clock in at 1. We clock out at 5. How many hours is that? 4. So it's basically like here, she probably took a break. Some type of break happened here. And she worked 4 hours in the beginning of the day and 4 hours in the second half of the day. So total, she worked 8 hours for the day. Let's take a look at this. She clocks in at 8:30 and she clocks out at 12:05. Now, I know it's already got the total out there for me, but I just want to take a look at this. If she clocks out at 12:05, remember on that last piece of paper that we wrote down, to find our elapsed time, we're going to take our time out minus the time in. So I'm going to do 12:05 minus 8:30. Now, can I take 30 minutes away from 5 minutes? No. What we would have to do is borrow an hour. But remember, when borrowing hours, it is 60 minutes time. So we are now at 65 here because there is 60 minutes in an hour. Okay, well, now can I take 65 and subtract 30? Yes, that's 35. Can I take 11 and subtract 8? Yes, that's 3. So for the first half of the day, it says 3 hours and 35 minutes. But please make a note, this part right down here. Round elapsed time to nearest quarter hour. Now, quarter hours would be on the hour, so 0 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then it would be the next hour. Okay? So, the number 35 is my minutes column, right? Is that closest to 0, 15, 30, or 45? I would agree. It's the 30. So we would say for the first half of the day, it would be rounded to the nearest quarter is 3.5 hours. So we would write 3.5 hours. Okay. Now, Gil clocked back in at 12:35 and clocked out at 5:20. 5:20 minus 12:35. I see an error already. Right here. One, I can't subtract 20 and subtract 35 from it, but I can't do the 5 either. So we have to convert to military time. And when we convert to military time, we need to add 12 hours. Military time, what happens is it keeps counting. It doesn't reset at noon. We don't go back to 1. It just goes 12, 13, 14, 15, and counts all the way up to the 24th hour in the day. So we're going to add the 12 hours here, but remember we're adding it to hours. So that would make this 17:20. So military time, 5:20 in the evening, would actually be 17:20. Now, remember, I cannot take 20 and subtract 35 either. So I'm going to need to borrow an hour. Well, if I borrow an hour here and I make this 16, how much do we add to our minutes column? 60 minutes. So that makes this 80. Can I take 80 and subtract 35 now? Yes, I can. 80 minus 35 is 45. And 16 minus 12 is 4. Now, let's think about a clock. Here's a clock, right? And I know it's probably been a while, but we've got the on the hour up here. We have 15s over here. We have every 30 minutes is down here. And 45 minutes is here. Now, if I start here and I go to 45, how many quarters of time have passed? We've gone 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. So we would write this as 4 3/4. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add that together. Okay. I didn't have to round this time because 45 was already one of my quarter hours. So keep that in mind as well. So we have 4 1/4. Nope, sorry, 4 3/4. And we're going to add 3 1/2 to that. Well, I cannot add fractions unless I have like bases. So we're going to convert those to both have a denominator of 4. So that would be 4 3/4 plus 3 2/4, because 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. Now what we do is we add our numerator positions. 3 plus 2 is 5. We keep our denominator to be the 4. And 4 plus 3, my whole numbers, add up to be 7. 5/4 is more than an entire hour. So we would need to convert that. How many times does 4 go into 5? 1. Well, we already have 7 out here. So that would make this 8. And how many would remain if we did the 4 divided by 5? You said that would be 1. So we would subtract 4. That would give me 1/4 as a remainder, or my rest of my fraction. But remember, I added this 1 to the 7 that was already there. These two together, that gave me the 8. And they came up with 8 1/4. Now, I'm not going to go through Wednesday, but I am going to go through Thursday because Thursday is one of the ones that we were required to do. So let's take a look. Thursday says we clock in at 8:15. We clock out at 1:45. Remember, out minus in. Out minus in. 45 minutes minus 15 minutes is 30 minutes. Okay. Can I take 1 and subtract 8? No, because we went from that AM to PM. Okay. So we would have to convert to military time by adding 12 hours. So this now becomes 13:45. Well, what is 13 minus 8? 5. So for the first half of the day, she works 5.5 hours, because remember, 30 minutes in our clock was half of the clock. So here we've got 5.5. Now let's look at this next one. 2:15 and 4:59. So remember, my out goes on top. So it's 2:15 and 4:59. 4:59 minus 2:15. What is 59 minutes minus 15 minutes? 44 minutes, right? What is 4 minus 2? 2. The nearest quarter hour, now remember my quarter hours are 0, 15, 30, 45. Which of those would be closest to 44? That's right, 45. And 45 is 3/4 of an hour. So we've got 2 3/4 here. So I'm going to add that right here, 2 3/4. Okay, because it's looking for this answer right here. Gotta find it. Well, that means I gotta take my morning time and my afternoon time and add them together. So I got 5.5 and 2 3/4. Can I add these together? No, I gotta get common denominators, right? So we'd make this 5 2/4 plus 2 3/4. Okay, can we add them together now? Yes. Let's go ahead and add our whole numbers. 5 plus 2 is 7. Numerator plus numerator makes that 5. And denominator stays the same. I came up with this same situation as before in that last example, where 5 is bigger than 4. So we would say, okay, 4 divided into 5 is 1 whole hour. And we'd have 1/4 remaining. So we basically take our 7 and add 1 1/4, which actually gives me the same answer as earlier, which was 8 1/4. So I'm going to put that right here on this line. 8 1/4. Part B asks us for the total hours in that work week. Total hours in the work week. Well, I know the total hours per day. So now all I need to do is add them up, Monday through Friday. So let's go back over to my paper here. And we're going to do some adding. It was 8 plus 8 1/4 plus 7.5 plus 8 1/4 plus 8. All right. Well, in order to add these, I would have to get my common denominators the same. So let's first figure out what our least common denominator is. I agree, it would be 4. So let's go ahead and do that. 8 plus 8 1/4 plus 7 2/4 plus 8 1/4 plus 8. Now we're going to add our whole numbers. 8, 8, 7, 8, 8. Well, that's 39. Okay, all of my denominators have a denominator of 4. So I'm going to add my numerators. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. What is 4 divided by 4? 1. So we're basically got 39 plus a whole hour in our minutes that stacked up. So we worked a 40-hour work week. All right, let's take a look. I've got 2 of these problems for you to try on your own. Try on your own these 2 problems. Go ahead and pause your video now. We'll go with a time limit of about 7 minutes to work through problem 1 and 2. Go ahead and pause your video now. As you can now see, the answers have now been provided for you for those 2